Is it worth it to scuba dive in Phu Quoc, Vietnam? I think yes, but there's a catch. I recently did 5 dives in February over 2 different days. I want to share my experiences with you before you get there. Now you need to know, Vietnam has a history of destructive fishing practices. There's overfishing, trawling, and even blast fishing. Unfortunately, you can see the results of this right now in the water. There's not a lot of huge life, there's no pelagics, not a lot of sharks or other really big creatures to see. Now, one other big problem that Vietnam has is that there's a lot of trash, and Phu Quoc isn't any different. During my 5 dives, 4 of them, either I or my guide, found trash to pick up. All that being said, you can still find really healthy coral in Vietnam. I didn't even really see that much bleaching, thankfully. This also does not mean that you're gonna have a bad time when you're scuba diving in Phu Quoc. When I went, I booked my dives through Cuttlefish divers to do 2 dives for 2 different days. Both of those days, we ended up diving in the southern islands. On the days of my dive, I had a bus come to my hotel, pick me up, and bring me to the pier. After we got to the pier, I learned that most shops here share boats with other shops. My boat, for example, had about 3 to 4 different dive shops all operating at the same time. It was kind of funny to watch all the dive guides trying to find their customers. Once everybody was aboard, the crew gave us a general safety briefing, and then we headed out. We had about a 45-minute to an hour drive before we got to our first dive site. The first site we dove at was MPA, or the Marine Protected Area. Now don't let that name fool you. This was unfortunately the worst dive of my trip. I don't know if we got dropped off at the bad spot or if this was a bad day, but I didn't really see much here. After about 20 to 30 minutes, I was kind of bored and ready to go ahead and get out of the water. There was a little bit of coral, a little bit of life, but nothing really to write home about. After I got out of the water for the first dive, I was really surprised to find that there was not any snacks or refreshments for us. There was a jug of water with some cups if you wanted some, but I've never been on a dive trip where they didn't offer some kind of snack in between our dives. The second dive of the day was at Kim Quy Island at a location called U-Turn. This dive was so much better. There was way more healthy coral here, both hard and soft. There were some small fish, big schools of small fish, lots of nudibranch, some starfish, and I even saw a couple cowrie snails. The visibility for both of these dives was about 20 to 30 feet, temperature at about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. After the second dive was over, as we were on our way back to the pier, we were given a Vietnamese lunch. This included some fried chicken, some pork belly, vegetables, soup, and some watermelon. It wasn't the tastiest Vietnamese food I've ever had, but it got the job done. On the way back to the pier, I ended up chit-chatting with my guide, Ty, who is also the owner of Cuttlefish Divers. He ended up inviting me for a night dive that night at one of the local hangout places. Later that afternoon, he picked me up in his van and he brought me to this place that was a really cool sunset spot. It had a food truck that was serving handmade pizzas, some beer, and then just chairs and fire to watch the sunset. It was really nice. By the time the sun went down, we had finished our pizzas and then started to set up our gear. The plan for this dive was that it was going to be a very shallow muck dive. We ended up averaging about 6 to 8 feet for most of the dive, maxing out at 14 feet. Now, all that being said, it was still a really cool dive. I saw a lot of different octopus, some really big starfish, and even some animals I'm not really sure what they are. Check these out. If you know what they are, let me know in the comments because I'd love to learn. On top of all these, I did see some big crabs, and for me, the most exciting thing was I saw one snake eel, which I've never seen before. The next day was my second day, and it was almost exactly like the first. I had a bus pick me up, bring me to the pier, we had the same safety briefing, and then about a 45-minute ride out to the dive sites. For this day, we started at U-Turn and had a very similar experience. Lots of good coral, lots of fish, good things to see. The second dive of the day was at the same island, just around the corner on a different side. Here, there was a little bit less to see, but still lots of healthy coral and fish. On this one, my dive guide brought us away from some of the crowds, which was nice to not have people swarming all over us, but unfortunately, there were some moments where we didn't really get to see very much. At some point, we had gone far enough where we hit a current coming off the side of the island, and that was our cue to turn back around. Overall, I enjoyed my time in Phu Quoc, but it's not a place I would travel to just to scuba dive. I can't imagine I'll ever dive here again unless I'm already on the island or in the area for other vacationing. Ty from Cuttlefish Divers was a great host. He gave me so much information, was really helpful, and he took really good care of us. If I go back, I'll definitely use Cuttlefish Divers again. If there's any other places in Vietnam or Asia that you think I should try, let me know because I'm so excited to try other places in the region.